You are watching Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here today with my co-hosts Emily Compagno and Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us, Fox News contributor Lisa Boothe and former NBA player and human rights activist Enes Kanter. Freedom, emphasis on freedom.
I love
Good
it.
to have you. All right. We begin this hour with a Fox News alert. A massive manhunt is underway in the state of Texas for the Mexican national accused of gunning down 5 of his neighbors, execution style, we're told, including a 9-year-old boy. FBI officials say they have no leads in the search for 38-year-old Francisco Oropeza, and they're warning that the armed and dangerous suspect could now be anywhere, and they mean anywhere. ICE sources now revealing to Fox that Oropeza had previously been deported 5 times and was once again living in the United States illegally. Authorities say the suspect was hanging out in his yard in Cleveland, Texas, just outside of Houston, drinking and firing his gun, when his neighbors asked him to keep down the noise because their baby was sleeping. And that's when he went after them, went to their home. 5 people killed in his rampage, including little Daniel Lazo Guzman. All of those victims were immigrants from Honduras. Many of them died trying to shield their children and loved ones from the gunfire. So in this last hour, I had on Texas Congressman Chip Roy, who has been trying mightily to fight the border crisis down there. Texas DPS is on this case right now. And he said that those 5 deportations of one individual, that's just boilerplate. That's just how they're going right now. They're outnumbered, the border agents, everybody down there.
I mean, we have to respect America and American values. I mean, there is a process. I mean, I was an immigrant. You know, I got my green card, waited 5 years, took the test, become an American citizen. Our leader needs to change something. And I mean, we keep talking about the safety concerns, but we gotta do a legal background check because we don't know if they're criminals, if they're good guys and bad guys. So we gotta do something, and our leader needs to change something.
Talk to me about the laws, Emily, because you know, you have somebody in your grasp 5 times. You mean to let them go and go do what they want to do. At least that's how it looks. Congressman Roy said, you know, they're here illegally. We don't know what they'll accomplish while they're here.
The biggest tragedy about this is the fact that it was preventable. It's preventable if this administration would enforce the existing laws, not just the immigration laws, the gun laws. Deported 5 times, the last contact in 2016. How much of our tax dollars have to be absolutely wasted? How many more people have to die under this watch of this administration who conveniently turns a blind eye and ignores any inconvenient story like this when these lives were shattered? Those people died shielding children. That heartbroken father on air saying, I had 1 contact with him in 3 years. I just asked him to be quiet, but my baby was sleeping. And then an execution, methodical obliteration of a family, deported 5 times. This is absolutely unacceptable. And the fact that it's preventable, the fact that the left keeps saying, we want more laws, they will crow, they will take advantage of any opportunity for them if it's convenient. When they say we need more guns or more guns off the street and more laws, just enforce the existing laws, Biden. That would prevent this tragedy.
You know, Lisa, Congressman Roy was so right when he said this. It doesn't matter who was in that house. You know, there have been some reports that perhaps not all of them were legal. He said, it doesn't matter who it was. The bad guy, the guy at the center of all of this should not have been in this country. And we can talk about the open borders and all the people in all the different houses all over America and where they are. All I'm focused on right now is the fact that children are taking the brunt of Biden's administration. They're coming across that border. We've lost 85,000 of them under Mayorkas, DHS secretary, and now another dead.
Well, when you asked Emily, you know, talk about the laws, I was thinking to myself, what laws? It's like, we're not enforcing them, right? I mean, this guy was deported 5 times, found his way back into the country, but that's because Secretary Mayorkas and this Biden administration sent a memo out to ICE basically saying, don't do your job. You know, don't enforce our laws, right? Because it's a felony for this man to even have been deported and come back that many times, right? So we're not enforcing their laws, which is the point. But what's also interesting is ICE has refused to publicly admit that this man was here illegally. Secretary Mayorkas was asked about it yesterday, refused to comment. So not only is ICE unable to do their job, but they're also being muzzled and admitting the truth, which was that this individual was deported 5 times here illegally, shouldn't have been here, right? But we all know it's not going away. It's not going to get better until we have a change with this administration, until we get another president into office. This is only going to continue to get worse.
So, Kaylee, I chose to come to you last on this because I knew Lisa would probably stop somewhere. Right where she
Fingers
is there.
crossed she'll shut
Because
up.
what she's saying is we need somebody new. How about if we just had somebody who actually knows what they're doing? And that's how it was in the last administration. It could be like the old new.
Right, and didn't roll back the policies of the prior administration that were actually doing things to keep our border safe. They've been rolled back, decimated. People say, oh no, Congress makes the laws on this. No, Biden rolled back executively many of the actions of his predecessor. To that point, you know, Wilson Garcia now, that father, that homeowner, he lost his wife. He lost his son. The 2 moms who I presume they were moms or at least relatives who were shielding the 3 children were covered in blood, transported to the hospital. This is horrendous and it never should have happened, to your point, Emily, if the laws were enforced. Bill Malusian, on background from an ICE source, found this out, that there was a previous arrest of this individual in Montgomery County, Texas, driving while intoxicated in 2012, and he was sentenced, and apparently jail time was supposed to be attached to that. So what happened? Why was this guy back out on the streets? And how many other guys like this are out there? Because we've seen the got away numbers. 2020, those are people who ICE sees but get away. 2020, 60,000, 60. Listen how they've gone up. 2021, 389,000. 2022, nearly 600,000 migrants who were seen and got away. Who are they? Who are they?
And Texas DPS has told me, in fact, it's Lieutenant Oliveras, who we've worked with at the border. That's who's on this case right now. That's who's leading this case. So what he has said is that those numbers, as horrific as they are probably about 50% wrong.
Wow.
So we could have up to 2 million of those gotaways or unknowns here. And sometimes we only know them because the scanners and the cameras catch them at the border. We didn't even get a chance to actually talk with these people. They're here, they drop their fake IDs, and then they filter out into the country.
Well, and sorry, I was just going to say, you had mentioned the sources told him on background, right? You know, why won't they speak publicly on the record about this, that he was here, you know, illegally? And also,
probably retribution from the president.
They don't know where he is.
I don't think President Biden would like that.
Well, they don't, exactly. They don't want to undermine the fact and raise questions and what is obvious, the fact that we have open borders, that we aren't enforcing our laws. We have laws in the books, but we're not enforcing. And also begs the question, who else is here illegally?
Yeah. Well, and just one thing, and I'll come to you with this, Emily. One of the things that's complicated about this, and I just said it, he's out killing people. They don't know where he is. They don't know who else he's connected to, Lisa. So, I think my mind goes to those cases that you work on in true crime. There's more to the story.
Absolutely. And the possibilities, unfortunately and tragically, are so endless and so unlimited with where he could be. He could be anywhere in this country, and he could have gone back over the border and disappear only to come back and who knows do what again. And again, just to underscore this has happened before. There was a brutal butchering of a mother in San Jose by a multiple deported, multiple convicted violent felon, illegal immigrant, but because of the sanctuary, because his protections mattered more than hers, she's dead. Her family is devastated. There is a traceable line. So when you mentioned about the driving while intoxicated and the superseded jail time, the multiple deportations, again, how many more of those do we have to rack up? At what point is the recidivist number, at what point does that stop eclipsing the values and the needs of the protection of our citizens here? I don't understand why this administration doesn't acknowledge what a travesty that is. And all of these Democrat governments continue saying, well, their rights matter more. That's why we must protect them as sanctuaries to the tune of those murdered families.
This is an extremely weak positioning of policy by a man who says he wants the job again. Whether he's fit, whether he's ready, whether he's the right one. Those are questions from Democrats now, Democratic voters now. Whether he's the one to do the job is the question. But this is how we got here. Last word.
Just quick point. He was deported the 5th time in 2016. We don't know when he came back in the country, but I'd love to know if it was during the Biden years, because it seems like if it was, he might have taken a break during the strict policies of the Trump administration.
And where is he now?
Deterrent then.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.